Hi there, Mark here again, and welcome to this part 2 of my build guide for the Kyosho Scorpion re-release 2014. So let's have a look where we got to. So in part 1 we got this far with the buggy, and yeah, we're starting to get the chassis all together now. I think this was up to step 15. That was just fitting the rear shocks on, I think, so we'll get on with step 16. A nice simple start for step 16. Let's ease into this part of the build guide with a nice easy fitting of the roll bar. Basically all you've got to note here is it goes that way around with the angle pointing to the front, and you just fit it onto these two holes here, I think, and that's just with two countersunk screws 8mm long. Step 17 is the front lower arms. Make sure you get these right because there's a left and a right, so just match these up with the diagram, make sure you've got the orientation right, and it's quite simple. I've done the one, it should look like this. So again, copying the diagram, you need to get this part here. It's like an angled part with the thread on. Then you've got your nylock nut to hold that on. And as it shows in the diagram here, you just simply nip that up and then turn it back a quarter of a turn, it says. So yeah, when you've done it up, it won't move at all. Nip it back quarter of a turn and just make sure that it moves freely. Then you've got your little ball joint there. You want to put on the 3mm nut. Let's screw it into this hole here. And again, you've got to make sure that it's 8mm clearance, as it shows here. So just to check that distance there is 8mm. You can use the other side if you can see. Yeah, make sure you get those the right length. And on to step 18, which is the steering knuckles and opening up bag D. This is fitting the steering knuckles, which are these things here, where the wheel axles are. And basically all you need are two of the really small ball joints, these, and you've got to put one of those small black nuts onto those, and then basically you screw one into that part of the knuckle, and hopefully once you've got that in the right place, you nip up that nut by tightening it down onto the aluminium. Make sure you get these the right way around. Again, follow the layout of the diagram carefully. So this is the left hand one here, you can see it matches up with the diagram, and basically these are stamped left and right. You might be able to see there's an L on this one for the left. And again, get the orientation right, pop that over like so, and then the other ball joint holds that in place. Like so. And then just check by copying this bit of the diagram here, the ball joint on top of the pivot has got to be set to 7.5mm. Like so. And this one is going to be set to 8.5. Step 19 is front caster lock. So you need these two alloy parts, and you need two of the black ball joints. Put a bit of thread lock on the end of that thread there. Simply screw it in the top. And then make sure it's 5.5mm, or as close as you can get it. Obviously, make two. Step 20 is putting together the upper rods and the tie rods. I've already done 3 of them. It's a really simple process. You just need the plastic ball ends. Simply a case of getting the metal bar. It's the set of 2 of the shortest ones that are in the kit. There's one more, which is the long one for the steering, but that will come into place soon. And basically, you just thread each ball end onto the bar. You can use these tools to help if you need to, but I'm not finding it a problem. And basically just screw them in until they match up with the one-to-one diagram. Okay, so on to step 21. Step 21 is fitting the front suspension. You can see I've already done the one side, so I could have a practice. and that looks like it's all okay. We've just got to finish that in the next step. But basically we're going to get these components on that we've just recently put together. So you start off with the plastic bush, that just goes on, that's for the shock. You might have to screw that on, it's quite tight. Get your arm assembly and one of the shocks, and you want to clip that onto the ball joint there. Okay, and now you've got to get that front caster lock you made. Make sure you get the left and the right ones the right way around. Remember there's a the letter is on the casting, and the short side, let's see, this is the longer side here, but the short side goes to the outside. Basically just slide that over the bar and put the top of the shock on with a 3mm lock nut, and again don't tighten this up too much, like I say it won't come undone because it's a nylock, and if you put it on too tight you're going to squash that red spacer and stop the top of the suspension from moving. All you need to do then is get the short, which is your upper rod, clip one end on there and the other end on that ball, like so. Should look something like that. And you can get your tie rod and pop that on as well. Okay, so there's your steering and suspension. Step 22 is finishing off that front suspension. As you can see, you've just got to put in these two grub screws into these holes here. So as you can see, I'm just going to nip this up just enough to give a bit of friction onto that bar, so when I move it, it stays put. And what it shows here is a 3 to 4mm gap between the tie rod there and the chassis underneath. If you can see that there, it's a bit difficult to see, but that distance there. So I've found the front bumper is about just over 3mm thick, so if I place that in there and then I can just turn this until that tie rod just touches that spacer I've put in, that 3mm spacer, and then I can nip up that grub screw. Make sure that the suspension arm there is kind of flush with the end of the bar, the pivot bar that it's sat on. If you can see that, I think that should be about right. Yep, looks good to me, looks about the right gap. So okay, do the same for the other side. Step 23 is simply getting your front bumper, fitting it onto those last two holes in the chassis rails with the 3x8 countersunk screw. Simply tighten those two up, and that's the end of that step. For step 24, you need to get your radio box, and we're just going to put a bit of hardware onto it. So first thing I've done is to fit this metal bracket here at the front. It's just two 3x8 button head screws. Just say don't over tighten those because obviously screwed into plastic. And then you've got these two small silver, bright silver aluminium pieces. They're going to hold the R pins, I think. So we put the one with the step on it onto that hole there. Again, 3x8 screw, and as it shows with this one and the other one, make sure the hole's going across that way so you can get the snap pins in. So the second one goes down through that hole and screw the smaller metal post onto that. That's that one, and that one underneath. On step 25, which is simply a matter of fitting your steering servo. I've already fitted mine. I don't think I need to go through the details. Basically, you've got 4 of these flanged self-tapping screws like that, and if your servo is taller than 27mm, you can use this 1-to-1 diagram to measure it if you want. So if it's taller than 27, you can use these spacers just so it clears the bottom of the tray. So yeah, that's step 25. Step 26 is simply fitting the radio box to the chassis with the two 8mm cap screws, which are just here and here. Then step 27 is just fitting your electronics, which is your receiver and your ESC, but with double-sided tape. Just go in there where you can fit them, obviously depending on what electronics you've got. And step 28 is fitting the antenna mount, which is this little plastic part here. Just basically one screw there. If you want to put your antenna in there, you can. And this part here is for your switch, this flat part. And step 29 is making up the steering rod. You need this parts tree, and just take off the steering arm that fits your servo, as it shows here, and then fit on this small ball joint with a countersunk screw. So make sure you centre up the servo first, so connect it all up, turn it all on, and make sure the servo centres up, and put your arm on at 90 degrees like so. Get your steering arm. You need to screw on the ball ends, screw it in, and don't forget to put on that kind of rubber boot there that's going to stop any dirt and debris getting into the inside of your radio box. And basically now we've got to clip this on. Remember to put that through the hole. Oh, and I did need a pair of pliers to snap those on. And basically adjust the length of that arm by tightening or untightening those ball ends to make sure that that arm and the arm at the front there are parallel. And then simply fit a screw, which you don't get provided, that fits your servo. So one thing it doesn't show in the manual is how to route the motor leads to get inside the radio box. You can probably see them coming through there. There is a hole that goes underneath there, I don't know if you can see. So you just poke your motor wires into that kind of tunnel and they'll come out inside. So I'm just going to go ahead now and fit my electronics inside the radio tray. So that's the steering rod in place now, you can see, and it all is lined up quite nicely. I've put some electronics in there, you can see the switches on there, and that's the end of step 30, and I've just opened bag E. So on to step 31, which is the rear wing, which is this, and you need these 12mm countersunk screws which go through the top. Flip that over, and you've got to get this spring, which is the mount for the wing, and this aluminium bracket which goes over those two screws. Get your spring, put it like so, then you've got these two little brackets, and they just go over and hold the spring in place like so, and then you've just got two nylock nuts to hold it all together. Step 32 is attaching the wing to that rear cage, so it just fits on to that hole there and that hole there. And you've got these two button head screws go through that spring. They go through the bars there each side, and you just fit on with your lock nut. Step 33 is your wheels and tyres. They do come with the wheels on the rims in the blister pack, but it does show here putting some super glue on the rears. It doesn't show on the front. The front tyres are quite hard and I don't think they're going to come off, but the rears are really soft. So yeah, I did put a bit of glue around the inside and the outside of the rims there. So yeah, get some glue on those. Step 34 is attaching the wheels onto the buggy. So for the front you're going to need these small ball bearings. You're going to fit one on either side, and then we're going to hold that on with a nylock nut. Hold that onto the axle, and the same for the back. But it is shown here that you need to stop the axle from rotating with an Allen key or something, because you need something to hold that still while you do up that nylock nut. So I'll just get those onto the buggy now. Okay then, so this is the little bit of bodywork that you get. You can see I've already made a bit of a start here. I've decided not to go fully box art. I want to keep a bit of yellow in the feature on this, which I'm going to do on the top here, so it kind of links in with the yellow of that tray underneath. But I think I'm going to go with a black or a bit of metallic black along here. I think I've got some gunmetal grey that I might give a really fine mist of, and then just a flat black behind that. And as I say, this top part I'm going to mask off, and that's going to be yellow. As you can see, I've started with the driver figure. I've got this really old tub of Tamiya polycarbonate brush on paint, so I've brushed that from underneath, and that's because when I spray this black for the cockpit, I don't want him or the figure there being black or completely black, because then I'm going to brush paint on the top so that I end up with a matte finish, because I don't want a gloss finish on the overalls there, because I don't think they would be glossy. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So I'm going to go away now, I'm going to mask this front bit off, and I'm going to try and get some paint on it. Okay then, so there it is. It's had the black coats. As you can see, I've masked this section off, and yeah, I think it went okay. It's bled a little bit, but I'll be able to scrape that with a knife, I think. So yeah, it went what was it, PS-23 gunmetal, with just a very fine spray of that, and then PS5 black, and strangely it's come out really glossy on the inside. But we need to get this masking off now so I can spray the yellow. Oh yeah, you might notice as well there's a funny reaction with the paint. Never seen that before. Oh sorry, yeah, I've come around Rob's to do this, and there's Rob on the camera. Forgot to introduce you, Rob.
It's all right, mate.
Yes, so yeah, Rob's witnessed all this. I don't know what's going on here. As you know, I brush painted the white, and yeah, some sort of crazing going on. It's sort of bled through. But anyway, as I said before, I'm going to paint over the top white, so it's a matte finish anyway. So let's get this off, he says. It's a nice line. There we go. So that looks quite a nice line, doesn't it, Rob?
It does.
We've just got that, like I said, there's a bit of black there and there, but I'll just get a knife and scrape that, and we'll go with the PS-6. So I've sprayed the yellow one. We're back at home now, and we'll paint to dry. So now my favourite part is to take the protective film off and see what that paint really does look like, and we can see it through the polycarbonate shell. So we'll just pull this off. Okay, so I hope it's coming across on camera. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. A few bits of paint flecks there. Get rid of those. And obviously now I need to go over the white on the outside to get rid of that strange effect that's got on there with the black. Yeah, you can see the metallic effect, hopefully. That was worked quite well. Only there's a really strange patch here, which, yes, it's a bit of a shame, that, because it spoils it a little bit, but hopefully I'm thinking of putting some stickers over there. So now all I've got to do, like I say, is paint the driver white on the outside and choose which of these stickers go where. So yeah, I'll just get on with that. Oh yeah, and I need to paint the driver's head, so I've glued him together. We need to get that on there and paint it up. I'll be back in a bit. So here it is, and I just use a selection of those stickers supplied. I wanted to give it a kind of 1970s retro Formula 1 kind of look, and I think, yeah, I'm quite pleased with the results. It looks that kind of thing, I think. As you can see, I've tidied up the driver figure with a bit of paint on the outside, and done the helmet. I didn't have any spray paint, so I used this really ancient pot of Humbrol red, brushed it on, and that's gone quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. And as you can see, I've put number 7 on, and that's because it's in tribute of Barry Sheen, who sent me this car as a gift. I thought it was only fitting. I didn't actually have any number 7, so what I've done is I've got some old offcuts of stickers, and as you can see there, I've cut out number 7 from those bits of white, and kind of this was a window sticker, and they've gone on. So yeah, that's for Barry. Cheers, mate, thanks very much for that. And I've gone ahead and assembled the roll cage. There's this aluminium plate that goes on the top. You've got 6 of the little countersunk screws you have to screw in there, and there's this bar on the back. Make sure you get that the right way around. So all I need to do now is get this screwed onto the body there and get it fitted onto the chassis. So here's a reminder of the box art again, and yeah, it's a cool looking retro buggy, and here's my take on it. So here she's finished, and I'm really glad that I went for this gunmetal finish round the outside of the body there. I think it really does kind of set it off and give it that Formula 1 retro look that I wanted. I really have enjoyed building this, honestly. As a Tamiya fan, I still love my Tamiyas, but this has been another experience altogether, and I'm really chuffed with the way it's come out. I'm going to look forward to running this, and I'll be thinking of you, Barry, when I'm running it. Thanks again. Now you've got the lucky number 7 again on there. So all I can say, as usual, is thanks for following along, thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.